Dr. Ahmed S. Hashim is a professor of strategic studies with a distinguished career specializing in Middle Eastern security, irregular warfare, and terrorism. A former officer in the U.S. Navy with a Ph.D. from MIT, Hashim brings a rare dual perspective to his work, that of a rigorous academic researcher and a pragmatic military analyst. This background is crucial to understanding the Caliphate at war. This is not a journalistic account or an ideological polemic. It is a systematic, dispassionate dissection of the Islamic State, IS, as a singularly effective and adaptive military political entity. Hashim treats IS not as a mere terrorist group, but as a proto-state and a highly innovative armed force that successfully implemented a revolutionary warfare model. The central, provocative argument of Hashim's book is that the Islamic State's unprecedented, though temporary success between 2013 and 2017 cannot be explained solely by ideology, regional chaos, or barbaric terrorism. Its rise was fundamentally enabled by a coherent and innovative military doctrine and a sophisticated organizational structure that allowed it to conquer, govern, and defend vast territories. IS was a learning organization that mastered full-spectrum warfare, from complex conventional operations to insurgent terrorism, tailored to its unique ideological ends. Part 1. The Foundations. Ideology as the driver of military praxis. Hashim begins by establishing that IS's ideology is not just a motivational tool, but the very blueprint for its military and state-building project. Unlike al-Qaeda's focus on the far enemy, the West, IS's ideology, as articulated by its thinkers like Abu Bakr Naji and Abu Musab al-Suri, was conquest-centric. Management of savagery. Hashim details how IS operationalized Naji's concept of idarat al-tawahush, management of savagery. This was not random brutality, but a calculated theory of warfare. Extreme theatrical violence was used as a strategic weapon to terrorize enemies into submission, to polarize populations, driving Sunnis into its fold by presenting itself as its only protector, and to attract globally disaffected recruits by demonstrating power and total commitment. The Caliphate as an imperative. The declaration of the Caliphate in 2014 was not just propaganda, it was a military strategic necessity. It provided an absolute religious mandate for expansion, hijra and jihad, justified the elimination of all other jihadist groups like Jabhat al-Nusra as schismatics, and created a legal and administrative framework for governance, taxation, and conscription. The state and the army were inseparable. Part 2. Organizational Architecture. The Bureaucracy of Jihad. This is one of Hashim's significant contributions. He meticulously documents how IS built a state-like bureaucratic and military machine. Centralized command, decentralized execution. IS maintained a strict, hierarchical chain of command from the wali, leader, al-Baghdadi, down through provincial wilayat governors and military commanders. However, it granted significant tactical autonomy to its regional fronts, allowing for rapid adaptation. This structure mirrored modern military organizations, not a classic terrorist cell network. The War Committee and Ministries. Hashim reveals the inner workings of IS's governance, highlighting the Diwan al-Jund military department and the pivotal Hayat al-Amal al-Miskari military war committee, which planned major campaigns. Parallel civilian diwans for finance, media, resources, etc., supported the military effort, creating a sustainable war economy. The Army of the State. IS forces were categorized into distinct specialized units. 1. The core force, al-Jaish, core mobile units with heavy weapons, tanks, artillery, captured Humvees that conducted maneuver warfare, spearheading offensives like the seizure of Mosul. 2. The regional brigades, Kataib, tasked with holding territory. 3. The elite, Ingimasi, shock troops for complex suicide assaults and breakthrough operations. 4. The Secret Service, Amniyat, a vast internal security and intelligence apparatus critical for suppressing dissent, enforcing ideology, and conducting external terror plots. Part 3. Military Innovation, a Hybrid Warfare Masterclass. Hashim dedicates the core of the book to analyzing IS's revolutionary military techniques, arguing they created a new model of hybrid irregular warfare. Blitzkrieg Jihad. IS did not fight as a traditional guerrilla army. It combined insurgent tactics, SVBIDs, suicide vehicle-borne IDs, snipers, tunnels, with conventional military operations. Its lightning offensives used massed firepower, coordinated multi-pronged assaults, and detailed reconnaissance to overrun demoralized Iraqi and Syrian forces. The Mosul Campaign, 2014, is dissected as a masterpiece of operational planning and psychological shock. The SVBID as a system-disrupting weapon. Hashim identifies the industrialized use of armored SVBIDs as IS's signature tactical innovation. These were not lone suicide bombs, but armored breaching vehicles used in coordinated waves to smash defensive lines, destroy command posts, and create panic, followed by infantry and technicals. They functioned as jihadi artillery and tanks. Adaptive defense and the War of the Meteors. When forced onto the defensive after 2015 by coalition airstrikes, IS adapted brilliantly. It dispersed its forces, used elaborate camouflage and deception, built extensive tunnel networks in cities like Mosul and Raqqa, and launched devastating counteroffensives like the capture of Ramadi and Palmyra in 2015 to regain the initiative. Hashim calls this phase a war of the meteors, sudden, sharp attacks across multiple fronts to confuse and stretch adversaries. Information warfare fully integrated. IS's media arm, Al-Hayat, was not separate, it was a combat multiplier. It produced professional, real-time propaganda that served direct military functions, intimidating enemies, instructing fighters, recruiting foreign expertise, e.g., engineers, doctors, and governing its populace with slick announcements of victories, laws, and services. Part 4. Decline, Legacy, and Strategic Implications. Hashim traces the factors that led to IS's territorial collapse: loss of initiative, overextension, superior enemy firepower, coalition airstrikes, attrition of veteran cadres, and the erosion of its governance model. However, he concludes that its military strategic innovations remain its enduring legacy. The proto-state model. IS demonstrated that a non-state actor could build a functional, if brutal, state and field a conventional-style army. This blueprint now exists for other extremist groups. The hybrid template. Its fusion of insurgent terrorism, conventional tactics, and information warfare has been studied and emulated globally, from the Sahel to Southeast Asia. A learning organization. Most critically, Hashim portrays IS as a pragmatic learning entity. It studied its enemies, Iraqi army weaknesses, adapted technology, drones for reconnaissance and bombardment, and evolved its tactics in real time. This challenges the simplistic view of them as mere apocalyptic fanatics. They were apocalyptic fanatics who were also highly competent military operatives. The Caliphate at War leaves the reader with a sobering, uncomfortable conclusion. The Islamic State was defeated territorially not because its model was flawed, but because it eventually faced a coalition with overwhelming material and air superiority. Its core innovation, the ability to morph between an insurgent terrorist group, a conventional army, and a governing bureaucracy, all unified by a totalizing ideology, represents a profound and enduring challenge to the modern state-based international order. Hashim's work is a stark warning. To dismiss such entities as merely evil or irrational is to fatally misunderstand their operational genius and the potent threat of their replicable model. The Caliphate may have fallen, but the military structural template for a state at war survives.